Budgeting your expenses is important. But is spending an hour each month thinking through your spending going to change anything? The answer is a resounding yes. Planning out where your money should go is one of the single most important things you can do, especially if you find that your money tends to disappear soon after payday, seemingly into a bunch of financial black holes. In this video, we'll cover 6 key priorities for where your paycheck money should go every month. As always, however, important to note that this is not financial advice, as this is merely for educational and entertainment purposes. Now let's dive in. First priority: saving for your retirement. One of the most important financial priorities is setting aside a retirement nest egg. It's never too early to start contributing to a retirement fund, and the sooner you start, the better. Even if you can only contribute a small amount each month, it'll add up over time. There are a few different options for retirement savings, such as a 401k or an IRA if you're in the US. In some other countries, especially in Asia, retirement funds are a mandatory deduction from an employee's paycheck and help to automate the process of retirement saving. But if your paycheck retirement contributions are purely voluntary, talk to a financial advisor to see which option is best for you, and make sure to contribute as much as you can each month. Also, don't forget that some employers will often at least partially match your retirement fund contributions, so that's an added bonus. The goal is to have enough saved up so that you can live comfortably once you're done with the regular 9 to 5. All in, building a retirement fund is the top priority, and if you haven't been doing so, you should certainly start as soon as you can. Second priority: covering your living expenses. As a follow-up to saving for your retirement, your regular monthly expenses should also be a top priority. This covers the money you need to pay for the basic living necessities, such as food, housing, utilities, transportation, and so on. Basically, the things that you need to go on functioning. Of course, it's important to figure out if these expenses are really must-haves, or if there's any room to lower them. For example, transportation is a definite necessity if you don't work from home, but traveling via Uber or Lyft every day purely for convenience's sake is not. Likewise, rent is a must. But living in an upscale neighborhood just to keep up appearances is not a necessity. If you're living beyond your means and not contributing to a retirement fund in the first place, then this priority could be an even more important focus area. In fact, many people find it hard to save for retirement because of their bloated day-to-day expenses. So if you're struggling to save for your retirement, perhaps consider taking a hard look at some of your monthly expenses and cutting back where possible to make room for the more important things that your paycheck should be used for. Third priority: paying off debt. If you're carrying significant debt such as credit card debt or student loans, your next priority should be paying off this debt as soon as possible. Interest payments on debt are generally very expensive, and the sooner you can pay it off, the better it will be for your financial situation. This is especially true when it comes to so-called unsecured debt, which is where consumption credit such as credit cards and payday loans fall into. There are a few different ways to approach this. You can start by paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first, or you can focus on paying off the debt with the smallest balance first. These are called the avalanche and snowball methods respectively, and each have their pros and cons. If you're interested in finding out more, go ahead and click on the link above to check out an explainer video. Whichever approach you take, it's important to make sure that you stick to the process and make progress each month. And if you can, try to put extra money towards your debt each month. Even if it's just a few extra dollars, it can make a big difference over time. Fourth priority: building an emergency fund. An emergency fund is your next important financial priority, and one that many people don't give enough attention to. It's the best insurance against financial disaster if you lose your job or face an unexpected medical bill. It's also useful for dealing with more minor emergencies, such as a car breakdown. You should aim to have an emergency fund equivalent to at least 3 to 6 months of expenses. If your income is variable, or if you rely on the government for assistance, you may need to save even more. Unfortunately, many people who should have this fund aren't taking action. According to a Bankrate survey, only about half of Americans have enough money in reserve to cover an unexpected $1,000 expense. Rather than saving toward this important goal as income increases, many people tend to use the money for other purposes, often to cover their increased standard of living. This leaves a big hole in emergency preparedness, as unexpected expenses will still occur. You may not enjoy thinking about setting aside money for emergencies, but it's important to do so for your financial security. You can still earn interest by putting this fund in a high-yield savings account, so that your money will still be working for you. Or if you happen to have an offset or flexi mortgage, that could be a good place to park your emergency fund too. Fifth priority: investing to grow your wealth. Now that you've taken care of the first 4 items on this list, it's time to invest to grow your wealth. For some people, the word investing brings to mind an image of old men in suits sitting behind mahogany desks, making high-stake gambits in some casino of commerce. The reality is that investing is something we all can, and should, do. Investing is simply the act of committing your money to endeavors that are likely to generate returns, and shares of profits, over time. The earlier you start investing, the sooner you'll see the benefits of compounding returns. The most basic investment is an individual security, such as a stock. Under the stocks or equity portion of your portfolio, one way to invest is to acquire a broad range of stocks, small, mid, and large cap for example, to gain exposure to all sectors of the market. A well-diversified portfolio consisting of a mixture of stocks and bonds can, over time, protect you from market volatility while providing a reasonable rate of return. A professional advisor can help you develop an investment strategy that's appropriate for your situation. Alternatively, many investors opt for mutual funds or exchange-traded funds, also known as ETFs, that can provide asset diversification with reasonable returns, depending on your risk appetite. Last priority: spending for fun. Once you've taken care of all your essential expenses, it's time to spend your money on whatever you like. These might be things like taking trips, eating at restaurants, or indulging in other leisurely activities. It's often hard to put these enjoyable things as the lowest priority, as the temptation to spend money on them is always present. But it's important to be disciplined and stick to your plan. It may be difficult to accept, but it's undoubtedly true that there are no shortcuts to financial success. It takes some discipline and some changes to the way you go about your life. But the sacrifice is worth it. Setting up auto billing and auto payments can help a lot in this respect, by automating the process of sticking to these priorities, and taking the emotion out of it. Once you've settled into the routine of running your 5 priorities, you'll have the freedom to spend on and pursue the things that make your heart happy. And you can do so with peace of mind, knowing that you're staying on top of your 5 must-dos. Check out this video next on how to cut out bad habits that are stopping you from saving money.